And it is currently the scheduled time, and we are now back to our latest episode of the Idolmaster News Wrap-Up podcast. I admit, it's been quite a long while since we've been here. Things kind of happened. Things got in the way. Nothing happened to us. Everyone who's on the show is still quite healthy. I'm pretty fine. Metal's pretty fine. Joe's pretty fine. It's not like anybody was like thrown into a hospital or anything, but there were a couple of things. I'm sure Metal had to go somewhere. Cho had his job. I had my job. But we're back, and we hope to cover 2 whole months of Idolmaster news. Are you guys ready? Because I'm not sure if I am.
Well, I don't know if you're ready, but I'm definitely lady.
Oh, well.
No.
I can't believe he did the 765. Cho does the 765 pun, and I don't. I have lost all of my worth. Anyway, let's just go ahead and jump right into it, because there's not enough time for intros and not enough time for, the news, because there's a lot. And I will tell you, this is probably going to be one of our longer episodes, so sit tight. So
4 hours later.
We gotta get the SpongeBob thing. So we'll start off with general stuff that affects all branches. And how many podcasts have you listened to us that we've made that we reference the thing that nobody's allowed to talk about on YouTube anymore. So whatever. But because of the thing, we got delays for all physical merchandise, which is weird because there's sort of like. There are sort of case-to-case bases when it comes to merchandise. CDs for albums, like songs and music, those are delayed. So are stuff like manga and stuff like, just basically musical CDs, manga. But, strangely enough, we have stuff like merch from lives, like Buppans, your keychains, your shirts, and whatnot. Those are actually still getting shipped out at a reasonable pace. I actually thought that they would just cut them off and not ship stuff, but I've heard of people even outside of Japan receiving their stuff. So it's a case-to-case stuff. Yeah, it does make sense that the Buppan stuff for the lives are already prepared and still being able to be shipped out. It's just that the music CDs, the stuff that came after the whole thing was declared, it makes sense that they're delayed. So that's something you can expect. It affects all branches, not just one. If ever you were looking forward to something, you may have to wait for a little while. But rainbow lining is that everything digital is untouched. Everything digital, if you were ready or if you're used to having the songs being readily available as soon as they were released, maybe in game for if you're a Starlight Stage fan, or if you're a Theater Days fan, or if you're a Sidem fan, they're straight out, just ready after the digital release. For Shiny Colors, though, we do have an unfortunate case of most of the. Here's the curious thing, because Cho will get into it a lot more detail later, but some of the grade 8 wings have been moved back, but some have not. So it's kind of like something to discuss or kind of theorize about later, but that's the general news. That's the general way we're looking at things right now. Some things are delayed, some things are not. Of course, it's all for the interest of keeping all the performers and all the staff safe. And you gotta put good thing. It's a really good thing that even how many months into this whole pandemic thing. Oops, I just said it, but even after a month into this thing. We haven't really heard of having any of the performers they caught it, or any of the performers they're struggling. Maybe it's just they were still given work somehow. But all I know is I'm thankful that for now we haven't had much bad news concerning any of the performers. So God bless for that. I'm very thankful for that. Anything for now, Metal and Joe, before we get straight into the branch news?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the reason why stuff like, merch hasn't been delayed compared to CDs is probably less manpower, considering that you probably still need to call those VAs for the B-side of the album, or drama CDs if you're doing Million and stuff like that. So this probably is a really good reason why CDs and even manga got delayed, and not general merch, because there probably isn't as many people that would make a pamphlet or a plush compared to, say, an entire album series.
That makes enough sense. I I'm at least happy that it happened, so that we couldn't. It's not like they're gonna show face that everything's down or nothing's working, something like that. So it's a really good show of face, as long as they're not making themselves, tiring themselves out. That's pretty much where we're at right now. So until things get a little better, because I think it's safe to say that things are slowly getting. I'm not gonna say back to normal because that's such a buzz phrase nowadays, but slowly getting better in Japan. So let's just hope that while they take their time on getting better, they still stay safe. So we don't want to demand too much.
They just lifted the state of emergency. There's still going to be some limitations, how until I think mid-August they're toning down how many people you're allowed to have at live events or group showing gatherings. Right now it's limited to 100, 200 people, and then they're slowly going to raise that up to 1,000 and then 5,000 and then just lift the limitation entirely. So it's not completely our regular schedule programming and stuff like that, but we're slowly getting there. And it's also been the case for other countries too. Here in where I live, a lot of shops have started opening up. A lot of restaurants that closed down their dining rooms, they started opening up their dining rooms, albeit with limitations on how many people are allowed there. So there could only be 10 people at a time, and you still have to be 6 feet away from each other when going inside. But at the very least now, they're allowing people to go inside and dine in instead of just take out and mobile order only.
Right. So we can expect that as hopefully work for the best. Things will manage to get in a certain state that will get everything back the way we had it. Physical goods, CDs, and maybe just knock on wood after a couple more sleepless nights over waiting and playing video games all day, we'll finally get lives again maybe next year. So just hope for the best. Now we're gonna move over to branch specific news. This is where the meat of the podcast is gonna happen, because we have not covered 2 months, and for a specific branch. For one specific branch, these past 2 months were the juiciest months. Let's start with shiny colors.
All right, sure. So the first thing we'll talk about is what you brought up just a little bit ago, which is the shifting of Grade 8 Wing. So the schedule has been flipped around, and all I'm going to say is that I'm sorry if you were excited for the Alstroemeria CD, because you have definitely got to wait. So first CD that's going to be released is going to be Grade 8 Wing 6, which I believe is Stray Light, and that's going to be in August 19th. So that's number 6. And then number 7, which is Nocchills, is going to be the month after in September. October's album is going to be Illumination Stars, Grade 8 Wing 2. Then you have Antika in early November, Hokago mid-November, and then Alstroemeria rounds out the year in December. Which you'll have the visual presumably on screen, and yeah, it's a little rough since the order is now 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I don't necessarily understand why 2, 3, 4, and 5 are delayed, because I would assume that they record these in order. But I guess for the sake of pushing Stray Light and Nocchill, they must have already had the CD ready to go. But
I think the reason why was, I think they're, it's kind of weird, because my initial idea was that they were waiting for studios to get back up and running. But if that's the case, did they really already have Stray Light and Nocchill this set in stone, and that's why the other units had to move out? But it could also be a merchandising issue. It could also be a push. Those are my best ideas.
I feel like the biggest possible thing that you can say is that the other 4 units have releases that were so close to the beginning of the year, which was around, the pandemic. And I feel like they probably pushed them out so that way it can be, more in line with Japan's, at the time, state of emergency. Meanwhile, Stray Light and Nocchill, they're so far out that they probably felt that by mid-August, everything will clear out.
There's also a very good chance that, because, obviously the whole studio recording and mastering of CD takes a bit of time. So there's a very good chance that this has just been sitting in the bank for a good while. And as brought up in the chat, they love to coincide CD releases with merch release as well. So there's a good chance that it was just sort of we happen to have all the merch ready to go for these units because they're already ready to go. I mean, you also consider like scheduling conflicts because, to be fair, now that we're 2 years in, a lot of our idols are starting to find more work, but not necessarily Stray Light and Nocchill, just because they're newer. Also, I'll see if I can fix the static in a second.
That makes sense.
It might just actually be a situation where schedules just didn't overlap in a well enough way for them to record early enough, but again, a lot of it's just speculation, and all we can really do now is just wait for these releases because they'll hopefully be ready in time. You know, like as mentioned before, because the state of emergency has technically been lifted, they should be able to record. I know there's a couple studios that have figured out some workarounds to have options, so all you can really do is wait on that. Going in order, working from last month, basically right after we recorded last podcast, we got a big Dengeki Online interview from the producer of Shiny Colors, going into a lot of user-submitted questions that is available on the Reddit. There's a lot of really juicy details in there. There's a lot of discussions not only about like story progression, about how the idols present themselves, certain character story beats, game balance, game mechanics. There's a whole lot to read in there if you're especially interested in Shiny overall.
What I really liked was in the polls. What I really liked was how they showed like so you as a player, what cards do you feel like are important? And if you play the game, you guys can already expect which cards showed up. So it feels like they're now really trying to take every avenue they can for player feedback. Which, of course, you know, as soon as you get player feedback, the more you ask for it, the more they can work with.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's see, what other questions? Like, some of the questions I've seen in here are, like, discussing the balance of support cards, the introduction of certain characters. Like, they bring up Fuyuko's introduction, about how Fuyuko's character descriptions on the website were very different from what we eventually got. And, you know, it's, you know, plays up to the whole surprise of her character if you don't know about it already. The nervousness of releasing Stray Light when they did. And then some other challenges they went through. I think one of the coolest details that we learned about was the production of idols and stories and cards altogether, which is that there is effectively a writer per idol in Shiny, and they in turn collaborate with the artist to ensure that the story is handled in the most careful of ways. And Takayama mentions that it works both ways. There are instances where the artist will come up with a design for the character, and the writer immediately comes up with a story for it. Or the writer comes up with a story, and then the artist gets huge inspiration to make a design out of it. And it also is stated that all the other writers bounce off of each other as well, to make sure that the stories will then eventually kind of like come to terms as a unit. So there's a lot of very careful planning with all the story writing, and I think that is greatly appreciated, especially for those who have dealt with, we'll just say, unfortunate writing levels or lack of writing for your favorites.
It was really eye-opening when they went into like when they had that one-on-one question with a couple of, you know, fan-submitted inquiries. My favorite one was the one where I might get this wrong, but my favorite one was the one where that one particular producer asked about Kiriko and why all her names of her cards are like that, and then he explained why Kiriko uses the honorific sun on some things and why she doesn't on some other things. That was one of my favorite ones, Yeah, that interview was really, really good.
And again, a link to that will be in the description of the video.
Yep.
Next thing in line is...
I guess
I hope you have...
I guess we should talk about the VTuber boom, shouldn't we?
In a moment. But
Sure.
first, we have to acknowledge the fact that Shiny now has an official holiday. Technically.
Technically, it's like 412, which is like April 12, is it? Or is that the one you're talking
Yes.
about? Yeah, April 12.
April
Shiny
12. Yeah, it has been registered as Shiny Colors Day by the Japanese Memorial Day Association. So
Yeah, just
now
like-
there
yeah,
is
yeah.
a proper day to celebrate.
Yeah. It's pretty much like if ever you've been like a Miku fan, Miku Hatsune has her own day. Alternatively, Side-M fans also dubbed 315, which is basically their production title, Psycho Day. Yeah, it just sucks that we can't really have like, well, Miku is 831 or like 39, so there are days that they also... It's pretty cool to have a commemoration, yeah.
Let's see. Also, in tandem with that announcement, they, up to the second anniversary, which we have passed through, so happy second anniversary, Shiny Colors, they had a special Twitter campaign going on where you could get some free rewards, but the nice part about it is that there was just a very simple congratulations Shiny Color, like, hashtag. So being able to look through that and see all like the positive praise of the game and all the much loved and appreciated fan art, it was really nice to see, just because you saw so many faces from all over the place.
Yeah.
Typically with events like that, it's usually just like, like 95% Japanese players, then maybe you see an international player here and there, and then there's like the 1% which is like weird spam bots that just happen to find the hashtag.
I know all those. Those are all too familiar with me. Yeah, that hashtag, it helped. It helped a lot. It also helped, because like first anniversary for Shiny, while it was momentous, this is what I really, really find interesting about Shiny Second, because the push for first anniv was nowhere near as big as this one. Like, I was actually way surprised, because usually first anniversary is where, they let loose, like, for example, I can name off the top of my head, CG first, Starlight Stage first anniversary, they held that stuff. Definitely Million Live first anniversary, where they, I don't know, they got the ire of all other mobile games. But Shiny first anniversary wasn't that big of a push, but then second was where they put all their chips down. I'm like, wow. They really have all this stuff going on with like the properly timed announcements, and trust me, if the thing we're not supposed to talk about didn't happen, it would have been way better. It would have been like super, like what we got is probably like half of what they intentionally planned.
I think a good reason to explain that could possibly be that Shiny's become a lot bigger than it really is, because like by first hand, if it was doing well, but it wasn't exactly like, doing really, really big numbers. Like, it was still doing decently, so they probably like wanted to scale back the first anniversary. And also because compared to like Starlight Stage or Theater Day, Shiny was still brand new, so they probably wanted to like keep it on the down low. But now by second year, they realize, oh, Shiny's a really big success with a lot of people around the world. That's why they decided to go a little more ham, because they had that sense of security of, okay, this is a successful franchise, we have a big fan base, and we feel like we can do a lot more justifying that big fan base.
Speaking of putting it on the map, we will now segue over to the next topic, unless Cho wants to finish it off for the current Shiny topic, because there's another Shiny topic that I would actually want to chime in with.
Well, I was going to say, I think you're completely forgetting about one of the most important aspects of what they did for the first anniversary, which happened to evolve a certain rock star.
Well, yeah, there was Yoshiki. Yeah, that did happen.
I was about to say, are you trying to undersell them hiring Yoshiki to
Look, that wasn't
do
exactly
a
part of
CD?
first anniv. It was a... Wait,
It
was
led
part?
up to first
Yeah,
anniv.
it led up to first... Alright. Maybe, yeah, sure. Yeah, but...
Like, they were using first anniversary assets for it.
that makes enough sense.
And then, of course, there was also the what was it, the Hitomin interview with Yoshiki?
Yeah, with Yoshiki, with Sony XX. How did that even happen? There could have been so many things wrong that happened with that.
But that freaking
handled it like a champ.
That freaking Bamco money.
Yeah. But regardless, second anime was a hoot. And part of what made second anime get a little more traction is we had a little help from unexpected allies. For the people watching this podcast, whether you know what a VTuber is or not, because I personally have no expertise in what they are. I am a person who doesn't consider themselves a VTuber expert at all. I don't delve into the hobby. I don't delve into the phenomenon, what they are, what they do, who they are, what they're from, where they're from, or whatever. Because I know there's a lot of agencies and they belong to different companies and whatnot. But some VTubers, or virtual YouTubers, I probably should say them like that because some people probably might not even know what I'm talking about. Some virtual YouTubers managed to give us a little bit of a publicity boost. Well, one particular one gave us a huge popularity boost by playing Shiny Colors during the second anniversary. And they were just saying oh, look at all this cool art. Oh, check out how they have a free, reroll gasher when you start. Oh, check out all these nice stories. And while a good 80% of them dropped the game as soon as the anniversary came, dwindled to a halt or stopped activities, a good number of them, I'd say 3 or 4 of them who were originally Idolmaster fans, from Theater Days or from Cinderella Girls or from Sidem, they managed to stick around and they're still playing it now because they were probably waiting for a time to get into Shiny, right? Because, there are those times where you feel oh, I really want to give this franchise a shot, I just don't know when. And, because of all the publicity that Second Hand was getting, maybe these VTubers felt hey, maybe I should give it a shot now. It'll boost my views. At the same time, it'll, make me appreciate it more. And I guess that happened for 3 to 4 of them. And now we have a couple of, mainstay Shiny Colors VTubers. Tsuki no Mito, I'll probably link her channel in the description below somewhere, is the main one because she is from what I hear from my friends, she's a gigantic otaku queen, an otaku expert. She has dealt in every other Idolmaster branch so far. She's mainly 765, but she's anything IMAS, she'll get into it. And when she found all the special stuff that Shiny has, and now she's been streaming Shiny 5 times in a row or something, 6 times. We'll probably show you her channel itself so you can see how much. But yeah, we did we weren't really expecting it. I was thinking that there were going to be a couple just to chase views, but not 3 to 4 of them,
Yeah. And as you brought up, a lot of them take different things out of Shiny, and there's a part of me that wonders if we're going to see some weird bump in production quality for some of the VTubers because of a very common thread that I noticed they all bring up, depending on who they look at. But I mean, at this point, there are VTubers from Niji Sanji, from HoloLive, from Holo Stars that are still staying active in Shiny. You'll see them play through the game at least a couple hours every couple days. So it's not like they've completely dropped the game, because obviously they still have to adhere to a schedule, and unfortunately for circumstances like them, a lot of them play off of the idea of diversity is king. So they can't just sit here and be well, I really like this game, so I'm going to play it a lot. It's kind of well, our viewers will get bored, so we got to shift to something else.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's kind of why people tell you if you're trying to be a Twitch streamer, never stream the same game or the same type of game multiple times because you're going to lose audience traction.
Unless you're Daigo Umehara.
Yeah, but even then, Daigo Umehara is old school. People know him for that shit, and plus he's funny.
Yeah,
unless you're an ex-pro player, don't stream the same thing multiple times. Your audience is going to get bored.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess every bit helps, right? At this point, every bit helps.
Yeah, and I mean, you have some of them, you have Amane Kanata. Oh, excuse me. You have Amane Kanata or PP Tenchi, as people refer to her as, which I believe that stands for PowerPoint because her initial reveal had her with some hilariously poor frame rate. She loves going over the character design. she will pull a card. When she was doing re-rolls, she'd pull a card and then just sit looking at the card art for like 15 to 20 minutes and just go over everything about it that she finds really nice or is appealing. Or she like tries to read into it and say like, oh, they did this design because it plays into this. Or maybe she's like this kind of personality. You have like Tsukino Mito, who is really big on the story aspect of it. So she's actually been learning how to true end a lot of her cards, and so she's trying to get as much of the story as she can. And whatever events she doesn't get before the absolute end, she'll try to unlock them like outside of Wing using the keys, just to get a full sense of like what kind of character she's reading into here. And she seems to really love being able to do kind of her side commentary about all of it that's happening. And then a couple of them just like it because they like certain characters. I mean, there are definitely already compilations of many of the VTubers freaking out over pulling specific characters. There's the really popular one, which was Kiriko stealing Aqua, I believe is her name. Kiriko stealing Aqua's heart over Tenka, as Aqua went into her reroll with the intention of rolling for Tenka, because she's like, well, Tenka's a gamer and is like Hiki, and that's me, and so I think we'd be good friends. And she proceeded to never pull a Tenka, and pulled every single Kiriko card in the process of re-rolling, and eventually just realized it's fate. I like Kiriko now.
Yeah, so that was unexpected, but yeah. Again.
Suisei's 2 hour, Suisei's 2 hour hell rolling for Asahi.
Oh man, 2 hours, man.
Like she was broken by the time she pulled her.
Those are loyal fans who will watch you 2 hours do the same thing.
So I think it's safe to say that at one point we should probably expect that official Mito Alstroemeria collab.
Maybe.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. That's all up to Banco at that point. But moving forward, we have to discuss the rest of Shiny, which are new game modes. Apparently,
yes,
put a new game mode in.
Well, technically, we have one new game mode and we have one new side mode. So the new side mode came first. This came basically right at the middle of April, and it is Idle Road. We kind of talked about it a little bit last podcast, but we had essentially no details on what was going on with it. But now that it's out and we have a pretty good idea of what's going on with it, I would say it's a relative success. The idea of Idle Road is that you take the initial rares of the characters, and you're able to promote them to SR and SSR. And at first we had no idea what that really was going to do for them, or how we were going to do it, and it's basically just as simple as producing them and running them through Grade Fests will unlock missions, and clearing enough missions will allow you to promote the cards, will allow you to get them all the way maxed out, including unlocking some additional things such as a new special item that guarantees a max memory moment, which is extremely good if you really think your run is going to be that stellar. One less RNG factor to consider. Increases the trust levels, which means new commus, new voice lines are unlocked, a whole lot of stuff. So if you have particular favorites, or if you feel like there's a hole in your team, Idle Road is absolutely a good way to fill that gap and just get more content for your characters, which is definitely appreciated. But of course, we have to talk about the big game mode, which released not all that long ago, which is Grad. Grad is interesting to say the least, and borderline broken. It's kind of it's broken in the reverse sense of how TFD was on launch, thanks Flapping Day. When that mode first released, it felt really janky and not particularly good. There's a lot of things about it that just felt worse than playing Wing. And so a lot of people didn't really look at it as anything particularly good, especially since we didn't really have a great idea of how to build for TFD. Now TFD feels like it's a backseat option compared to Grad because, quite frankly, the abilities that you get from Grad are so good that people are outright ignoring the main point of the game mode in favor of just making a ridiculously busted unit.
I feel like
go
the new
into
game mode really so they probably knew, right? They knew what TFD was like when they made it. So they wanted to make sure it doesn't happen again, but kind of polarize it in the other direction. This is something that Bomco really, really does. Speaking as a Tekken player, they do that a lot.
So, for those who haven't played around with
Evo Japan.
For those who haven't played around with the new game mode, the basic premise of it is that every idol in the game has what you call an insight token. And this is determined based off of the idol itself, not the card. So, for example, you have like Kaho, who is a vocal insight, or you have cards that are mental insight, dance insight, visual insight. And you have to bring a mixture of these into the mode. And the idea is that you're actually traveling around different blocks of Japan, trying to do PR work. And the way that you perform this PR work is that you do lessons or small jobs with your support idols, and you receive these insight tokens. And then you can trade in these insight tokens, or rather cash them out, to get a bolster, to bolster your stats and your fan count, which also increases a fan excitement meter at the end of, or rather that's tallied up at the end of each season. You still have 4 seasons to compete, and there's a very interesting branching path situation that happens in Grad, which is, depending on if you win or lose prelims, you have some alternative scenarios that happen. There's also different bonuses for winning. There's actual debuffs for losing, which is very interesting.
It's a callback to Idolmaster SP. If you lose, they just get sad.
Well, it's not just that they get sad, they just actually get weaker. They're, like, straight up some of the general mechanics that your idols function off of get worse if you lose. So, it very much encourages you to figure out how to balance your strength. And naturally, the higher that you increase the fan participation, the more buffs you actually receive from your fans during the final performance. But, again, those buffs don't outweigh the fact that you can increase your actual Grade Fest abilities in this mode as well. You can also choose to trade in these insight tokens for unique abilities. Some of these abilities include improving the stat bonuses for specific positions. So you can make, like, Visual have not a 50%, but like 100% buff. You can have the centers be much stronger. You can have bonuses at the beginning of matches or near the end of matches. You have bonuses based off of, like, which units you're next to. You have the ability to negate certain buffs and debuffs. There's so many options here that people immediately saw this and said, who cares about PR? Like, I don't care about this little game mode giving me a buff. I care about making my unit, like, as strong as I can. And so I feel like it's almost to the same degree that... Actually, I don't even know if it's necessarily the same degree. Optimizing wing runs have made it so that people don't even have to audition in Season 1 or Season 4. This feels like that, but 10 times more silly.
It's a little more over the top.
Like, it's just straight up saying that this entire mechanic that you're supposed to be doing just doesn't matter. Which, I wonder if that will be something that's adjusted, because they make it sound like that Grad is kind of almost in like an early alpha sort of system, and I could imagine they do some tweaks to it. I mean, personally speaking, I think everything about the mode is fine other than the actual buffs. I think they are legitimately too strong, and because of the big encouragement of having units basically all at level 80, and having multiple SSRs, since there is a unique SSR token that you can only get by using SSR supports, I have a feeling that it's going to more or less gatekeep Gradefest even harder for people. And I'm not entirely big on that idea. I do think it's good that Grad is different from TFD, but I don't think it should be so drastically different that now both of the game modes feel really bad.
What is pretty damn good, though, is those stories that's behind it. I heard Rin's APs have been sprawling on the floor ever since.
Yeah, I've been hearing that Rinzai might as well have won the producer bowl at this point.
Yeah, like
And-
Rinzai is like speaking of Rinzai, we forgot to cover something about her specifically, but let's finish off Grad first. Yeah, the Rinzai story is like at this point, like you're thinking like the person from who's writing Rinzai they didn't even get him or her from the same place that they got everybody else.
Last little bit of details of Grad is that currently not every unit is available to produce in Grad. Currently it is limited to Hokago produced cards and Illumination Stars produced cards. So, unfortunately, Alstramaria, Antika, Nocchill, and Straylight gotta wait. But if Grad stays as it is, things are definitely going to be very ridiculous.
As soon as
Once,
the other units get him. Yep.
Yes.
I can see it. As soon as stuff like, Alstramaria gets access to all those stuff, oh boy, we're gonna get something you never seen before.
Antika breaks the game once again.
Let's go.
I don't even know if Antika will necessarily break the game. I definitely agree that I think Alstramaria is going to absolutely win when they get the option to do this.
Maybe that's why they delayed it for them.
Maybe. Yeah, because I feel like if they had done Alstramaria plus somebody else as the first set, I don't even feel like it'd be a contest anymore. Just you have to be running Alstramaria, which this isn't necessarily a game where you sit here and go, I want to make a team for every single idol. You definitely can.
Oh, yeah, but that's going to take a lot of money, baby.
That's a lot of money and a lot of luck. Especially when they decide to take a lot of essential pieces and spread it across multiple banners.
And not a lot of people have both.
So it is it's very something. It's all I'll say. But that's pretty much the end of Grad. Some other news, of course, is that we've got more shiny merch along the way. Most of this was announced last month.
Speaking of shiny merch, I don't know. See, I don't know how this happened, why they did it. I don't know why this managed to, because I haven't heard of it happen. If anybody can correct us, either in the chat or video comments or probably like a PM somewhere, but I don't know where Ami got the idea to put Rinzai's figure, put it on a platform and spin it for 100 hours. That is something that is unprecedented. I have never heard it done before.
Yes.
I don't what was the decision process behind it? Who funded it? Was this Bamco? Was this Ami? Was this Papaya P? Did he agree to this? Because it's the first time. Okay, me as someone who rarely collects figures, I have a couple of Idolmaster figures, but as someone who observes the hobby, obviously when something this lucrative happens, like let's say any figure at all, let's say Kirito from Sword Art Online, they take a Kirito figure and spin it for 100 hours. Obviously that'd probably catch my eyes, or I'd hear of it, maybe just like a second of it, because spinning a figure on camera for 100 hours, it seems like something everybody would be attracted to. But Rinzai managed to have hers spun for 100 hours on live camera, and up to this day, I do not know why that happened.
I might have an explanation for that. Okay, so usually at events like WonFest, they would have a display for a figure where they're rotating around so that way people that could potentially buy them have a good view of every single angle of the figure. But because of, the situation that we're in right now, you can't exactly do that in a public setting where people can just come into an event and just see the figure for themselves. So they decided to do the best possible equivalent and have a 100-hour stream of Rinzai just spinning around so that way people can see all the details, and they probably made it 100 hours so that way people can just be able to chime in. Essentially they made it as long as say a WonFest probably would last. So that way people can just if they're curious about the Rinzai figure and it was around the time that a WonFest would have happened, or a display for that figure would have happened, they could just click on the stream and just check out all the details and then just click out.
Japan had a 5.6 magnitude earthquake, and that thing stayed just fine. Seriously. I cannot, this entire thing, we're only 1/4 through the news right now, and I'm still like recalling and recollecting everything that happened in the past 2 months. I can't believe some of this stuff happened. The thing spun for 100 hours. People were super chatting in the stream, giving money. They weren't using the money to buy the figure. They were just using the money to do super chats at the stream, which doesn't make any sense to me either.
There were people on that stream that stayed there for either the full 100 hours or they rotated, and they basically counted how many times Rinzai did a full rotation in 100 hours.
If anybody can get the number, that'd be great. You know, Shiny Mass ancient trivia. You know how every branch has like ancient trivia. This has to be written down somewhere in the ancient, you know, the writings of Shiny. So
in the Shiny manuscripts to be discovered in like 10,000 years.
We will write a Rosetta Stone for every branch, and this is what's going to be on the one for Shiny. So yeah, that happened. Well, thank you, Metal, for giving some insight to why that might have happened. But any other Shiny news before we chime into other branches?
Yeah, sure. I will say one thing, though, to close out the Rinzai discussion. I really hope that they make a Rinzai card that references the fact that she might feel a little dizzy.
I want it to be
imagine
like
that if you were you were forced to spin around for 100 hours, you probably have some residual effects weeks later.
Yeah, I
mean,
a
week later, that'd be generous.
She'd probably be like, you go to a carnival or like an amusement park, and the immediate ride that she and producer get on are those spinny cups, and she'll like, wait, I don't like spinning, and that'll be like a really good reference. So
she goes on a merry-go-round and almost vomits.
Yeah, again, I mean that's why Rinzai won first place, right? I mean that's why she got the figure. That's why she got first place. I think we're supposed to at least mention P Cup at least once because P Cup was crazy.
So, naturally, because we had our second anniversary, one of the other things that happened during the second anniversary was the Producers' Cup. If you are familiar with ranking events in the other Idolmaster series, it's more or less the same deal. And this year's Producers' Cup was particularly intense, and of course, one of the big reasons as to why it was so intense is the fact that we were under a quarantine, which meant that nobody had anything to do than to play shiny colors.
We were under a quarantine, and they had just introduced a new unit, so P-Cup just essentially became Madoka Domination.
The final cherry on top of all that cake is that Idol Road allowed every person to have a 3.5 appeal, which is all you need in Wing, really, with no communes to get in the way. This was the worst. I'll say worst because in terms of like how badly everybody played, like this P-Cup broke records. Well, you know. Certain characters managed to shoot through the roof, some expectedly, some unexpectedly. Of course, one of the newcomers, definitely, she hit the ground running. No, she hit the ground sprinting. I'll leave it to you guys to guess who it was, because it's probably obvious if you've probably been playing Shiny Colors for the past 3 months. But yeah.
I mean, I kind of just said it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
P-Cup was, whoo-wee! I mean... It's probably.
I mean, we had several.
Yeah, we had several P-Cups before, but none quite like this one.
And not just that, but we also had several idols this time around that broke 1 billion. In fact, there's an interesting factoid at one point that they had reached so many fans that I think it was like. Within the first the first day or two, we had already broken the total amount of, the total population of Japan, in terms of just numbers of fans. Certain idols just straight up had a bigger count than the population of Japan. There was a Kiriko P that broke number calculation. They actually just reached the absolute highest threshold, and fan count just stopped counting.
Integer
there are more producers than there are people in Japan.
Well, that's why we have it from space, which is what we're going to talk about in a certain branch. Anyway,
I think we have more number of fans than the entire population of the Earth. See, told you there are producers in Mars.
There are producers in other planets and other species. Animals can be producers too.
Maybe we finally have confirmed there are producers on the Usamine planet.
Oh, we have found it, and we have found more producers to give freaking fan counts to, because when that stuff happens again, who knows what toys we can play with, because Asahi fans for sure had a really easy time this peak up. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, because of the fact that she had an incredibly strong card released right before Producers Cup, meant that she was able to cruise through the whole event like it was nothing. So naturally, if you were trying to rank for her, you were in for a tough time. Last little bit of news, of course, is some other merch options. Some of these are a little outstanding at this point, such as pre-orders being open on a few of these, which presumably are closed now that it's been a month. Including the upcoming Meguru 2 figure, which looks very nice. We have some more plushies, including an Antika set is going to be coming out, and then of course we have a small doll set. I don't know the actual name of it, but Metal has a Megumi version of it. Those dolls have everybody, including Nocchill, which is why I kind of think that they were pushing Nocchill and Straylight further, just because they already had a merchandise line ready to go. So maybe they're looking for some extra things to do for the other units. But otherwise, that's pretty much it that I can think of for Shiny News. So who's next?
Well, while we have a couple of people here who are interested, we are going to move over to the magical castle of Cinderella Girls for now. And I have a lot to talk about too, since we don't really have exactly much of a CG main person here. It's my responsibility, because a lot of the news is pretty much relevant to me. First off, we're going to talk about...
By the way, the dolls, according to the chat, they're called mini Meigurumis.
Meigurumi sounds like what would happen if you put Megumi, and Meguru... All right.
Triple fusion dance, motherfuckers!
Yeah, like a Meguru, and Megumi. That's alright. You know what? That's what they're called, and that's what they're going to be sold as for now. So, CG, Cinderella Girls, for the past 2 months, even if it's not any of, because we had, Shiny Anniversary, and Million Live has their anniversary in May, May campaigns now, CG has some stuff to talk about, and I'll start with the new Cinderella Masters, starting with Claw My Heart by Mirei Hayasaka. Is that her last name? I believe that's so. It's impossible to memorize all the CG.
Yes.
There we go. See, I know my CG. People keep dissing me for not knowing. She's a cute idol. I can definitely clock up to knowing my cute idols at least. Mirei Hayasaka, she got her first Cinderella Master, Claw My Heart. Very well received. I think, it didn't really make as much waves as the other two I'm going to talk about. But it was exactly what the Mirei piece wanted. Timestamps are definitely going to be needed. We're gonna talk about timestamps, because this thing is probably going to be like longer than any other podcast. We're gonna cut this up to be like, this is the Shiny segment, this is the CG segment, Sidem segment, 765 segment. So we're gonna do that. But yeah, new Cinderella Masters. We got Claw My Heart by Mei Hayasaka, and people liked it. And then we have I can't get the name of this one right. The one by Hajime.
I just know Arakane.
Arakane. Because I know it's like Araka something. And it is I would say nothing less than the successful marriage of talent and composition. Because, first off, how the hell did Namco get Mina Ringo for Hajime? That's still something I can't... We've already been through Sunshine Seimei, we've already been through all those other songs, and I still can't believe we have her. Like, I still can't. Because if you guys follow Wakure, or like any of her other franchises she's in, you know what she can do. And if you guys know what she can do, and you know what Go Shiina, maker of Koikaze, maker of Saihyo, and all the other Chihaya legendary songs and pieces, if you put those two together, you get something very incomparable. I would say probably top 5 CG ballads. In fact, top 5 IMAX ballads of all time. It is... The initial recording had a small problem with the chorus, where the instruments were way louder than the vocals, but they immediately fixed that upon release. So that's nothing for you guys to worry about. Whatever you're going to listen to the version of Arakawa right now is a fixed one, Basically, when they put it up on their site on YouTube, it did have a vocal problem in the chorus, but that's gone now. Yeah, it's what happens if you put Minyo Ringo and Goshina, two ingredients that you know are good, and you put them together, you'll get something good. So that's the cool Cinderella Master.
It's like the Cinderella Master definition of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Two things that just work really well coming together, and it just creates something really good.
Now let's talk about 650,832 things that don't work together and put together. That don't work well, and you put them together.
You want me to take this one?
No, I gotta do it. I have to talk about it. And we're not gonna. What else do you say about the song? It was a success. I mean, it basically had a follow-up just recently. So the final Cinderella Master for the batch is Otahen Anthem, which was by Ryamu, and it widely became culture phenomenon. I mean, it's just basically, everything every shit poster wanted. It's funny as hell.
For perspective, Wilson JJ, like the guy who's very well known for uploading a bunch of Cinderella Girl Starlight Stage MVs, Otahen Anthem is one of the few videos that he's uploaded to go past 1 million views on YouTube.
One of the few ones, yeah. It's pretty catchy. It's very catchy, very trendy, as Ryamu should be.
It's an incredibly dumpa. Like, the best way to describe it is a 4.5 minute Dempa song that is essentially a diss track to all of Idol Master and Idol culture, and it is the most surreal shitposty thing that this franchise has ever done.
Yeah, hold in his disgust. I mean, I have to talk about how good it was received. I'm not supposed to hide that. This is a podcast. Whatever I think about her herself has not any effect of what we've currently done. And, in relation to what she has done, I think that pretty much the whoever voted for her got what they wanted. And so, people can't really complain about, her votes going to waste. That's what people always say, whenever the CG elections go along, which we're going to get to that in a bit. But, at the end of the day, I have to say that people who voted for her got exactly what they wanted, and they paid for those votes, so they deserve to get what they got. It was a success. It was a success.
Also, in terms of walking shitpost, that definition goes a little very literal, because if you watch the MV for that song, it's safe to say at this point Ryamu is associated with a literal turd. Like a literal turd. Cho posted like the a screenshot basically showing Wilson JJ's video results. Like, other popular songs like, Last Kiss, Venus Syndrome, they got like, 10, 15, 17k views. Otahen is currently at 1.1 million views in a month.
Well, you can chalk that up to them being re-uploads of songs, because he just re-uploaded Venus Syndrome and Minami's new SSR, so maybe the original video for Venus Syndrome has a lot more views. You can also check out stuff like Perfume Tripper's video for like Ankira or something like that. Those also get like 101 million and stuff, so, you can just sort his channel by popular uploads and it'll come up, but, again, I really have to just objectively state how well the fans received it, and, it's still one of the more memorable things. One of the more memorable things that come out of CG. Memorable is just basically the word. No matter what you think about it, you'll remember 2020 for, Otahen Anthem and many other things. But, it'll always be on like the highlight, one of the highlights of the year, for sure. You can't talk about
it's very comparable to something like Anzu no Uta and freaking, what was the name of Nana's song back in the day? But yeah, that
Merhen Metamorphosis.
Yes, yes, that. So it's comparable to those in that even if you don't like Meruhen debut, thank you. Even if you don't like it, you're gonna remember it.
Yeah, that's why I said
memorable. And I think that's what they were that's what they were trying to go for, and goddamn they did it, because even the freaking commu for that song was chaos. Like, okay, so how to describe the commu is,
it's very self-aware.
Yeah, incredibly self-aware. Like freaking Cinderella Girl Starlight Stage, they always have a Kamyu alongside every new like CM announced. And Ryamu's is pure chaos. Like if you try to skip the Kamyu, usually the game would just be like, are you sure you want to skip the Kamyu? Otahen's Kamyu is literally Ryamu saying, oh, you're just like one of those producers, just like, skipping the Kamyu, not wanting to, figure out the story, the lore, what the hell's wrong with you. Like, the game calls you out. Like, she calls you out for trying to skip the Kamyu. You have one situation where something bad happens at a concert, and some random fan in the audience says, yeah, but where's the Apollo gems? And there's also like appearances from all the new idols that debut in 2019, including Akira and Akari. But here's the kicker, because at the time they were unvoiced, their voice lines were a bunch of beeps and boops. Which is a reference to how some people interpret the unvoiced interacting with the voiced idols by essentially just having beeps and boops and sounding like robots. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was like a completely different take on a Kamyu. And yeah, I mean, it's good to have, like, again, I have to weigh in that it's good to have at least some avenue of how the franchise knows that they shouldn't take themselves very seriously. Other branches, when they do something like, when Shiny goes over their April Fool's stuff and say, hey, you do know this is a visual novel game thing, right? And all the Chaos Million Live makes, it's good to have one avenue to put all your self-awareness in, put all your self-parodying in, and people enjoy that stuff. So, again, when I mentioned how Miramu got voted last year, and people got what they wanted when they voted last year, that's obviously going to segue into what we really want to talk about this CG election, which is the result of the new format. Now, the new format, for those of you who are not familiar with what happened this year, the new format's a little different. First off, there is voice election and there is non-voice election. Now, voice election and non-voice election are completely different, like, categories where, you can't vote for somebody. It isn't new, but, it's not done in this way because the previous voice election only had one winner. This voice election has 3 winners. So also considering the fact that the last time they did this, the voiced election and the general election weren't happening at the exact same time. So realistically, it's 2 old formats, but they combined them together to happen at the same time. And also, the other reason why it's new, which is I'm going to preface with quotes, no pre-elimination, no prelims, no results before okay, we're currently halfway through, this is how many we got. They didn't do that. So that's why I consider this a new format. Now, the new format was a little freaky. It was weird because not only did they have this new format, they allowed you to buy the package of tickets 50 times. I mean...
Money, 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 money.
Yeah, they allowed you to buy the package 50 times. 50 times. No, the maximum amount you could buy before was 10. 10. You could buy like 50 times this year. But I mean, should we even talk about like nobody was gonna be surprised. Everyone knew it was gonna be Karen. I mean, if this year wasn't Karen, this would legit be like, okay, I'm not gonna bring I'm not gonna segue into unsavory topics, but Karen was obviously
potato or riot.
Yeah, Karen was obviously gonna win this year. There was no way she could have lost. Like, I know we should. I've told people to have some shred of doubt, have some shred of open-mindedness to things. There was no way Karen was gonna lose this one. Like, it was legit impossible for Karen to lose this one. And we got what we got. Congratulations to her. And of course, this means that now Triad Primus is going to want to put Now in next year. So it's not pretty much...
I mean, especially considering that Now is in the top 5 this year. Yeah, they're probably going to want her to be next just
it's
so
pretty much going to be it's pretty much going to be a triple threat between Fumika, Shiki, and Now next year. So it's going to be a lot more interesting. I'm not saying that it wasn't interesting this year because, Karen obviously won, but it's going to be a way more, it's a fight to look at next year because like every person has their own reason why they want to win. Now it's got Triprimus, Fumika, the never-ending Fumika mission, and then Shiki has just been like, Shiki is a slow crawler, right? Shiki has been gnawing at that gnawing with her tooth and nail at CG for like her entire life. She's been hitting it really hard. She's been making banger after banger, and Shiki's just constant top 5, constant top 10, showing up in every cute ranks, every cute polls. And Shiki, like, if Shiki doesn't win sooner or later, I feel like something's not right? I mean, after everything Shiki's done, she has to win sometime. And yeah, there is so the final wild card for the CG elections next year is the fact that Passion has not won most things ever since, Mio, which was basically, a mandatory vote, or kind of like, I don't want to say a pity vote, but kind of like, sort of like, you did it just to have it happen.
It was gonna happen at some point.
Yeah, like it was, you would just have it happen. So the Passion Peas right now, they don't feel like they belong. Like a lot of the Passion Peas just like, are we even here anymore? Like, none of their girls rank, besides Ryamu anymore. And even then, even this year, Ryamu was like nowhere near where she was last year. That's actually a lot of the reason why people are saying Ryamu was just going to be a one-time job, but I don't really think that's going to be happening because she still has a couple of events coming up. Passion Peas just like, yeah. Oh, by the way, as of the recording of this podcast, it is now her birthday, so even more reason to vote Shiki next year. Shiki 2021. Yeah, boy. Anyway, yeah. It's going to be a triple threat, now versus Fumika versus Shiki, but with a looming challenger in the background, Shiki.
Before we move on from general elections, I do want to say 3 things that did kind of surprise me from the election results. So the first thing that kind of surprised me...
Yeah, let's go.
There are 3 things. 3 specific things. The first one is that last year, the only newbies that ranked in the general elections were Ryamu and Nagi. This year, we got a 3rd contender. So I'm assuming because she got a good number of events and a good number of new content over the past year, Hayate actually started to rank this year. And not only that, but she is exactly 1 place above Nagi. So it's official to say that at this current moment, Hayate is now more popular than Nagi, so congratulations to her. The second thing that surprised me is that in the top 10, we have both Kanade and Minami, who have ranked before, but they're usually in the 20 or the 30th places. But this year, they both ranked in the top 10. So I'm just going to say that Secret Daybreak probably did a lot for them, and a lot of people are paying a lot more attention to them, as they should.
Listen, if you don't play Secret Daybreak at least once a week, you have to think about your life.
You don't have a pulse.
You have to think about your life. Exactly.
You just straight up don't have a pulse because it's a banger. And the third thing that surprised me, and I think Ren will also agree with this, Saya ranked. Saya actually ranked this year. Like for those of you that don't get it, the whole meme with Saya is that she is the idol that will never rank but will still get content. Like every single CG election, she has never ranked until this year. Granted, she ranked, I think it was 43rd, but that's still ranking.
To all the Saya Ps out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When we say we don't need to do nothing, we can just sit on our asses, we don't need to spend nothing, and we will still be given content by Banco Sai Games. It's the Saya P privilege. I am not ashamed. I will admit that right here on this podcast right now. So, it was funny that she ranked 42nd.
Now there's going to be more of a reason because, oh no, she's here. She's in the freaking election ballot.
Yeah,
she's in the rankings.
Yeah,
so now it's like, oh.
It's like when other idols get like, oh god, she's top 13 now. Maybe she has a chance. And then when Saya moves from number 44 to number 42, oh god, we're getting 5 Saya events. It's something like that. It's something like you never expected. It doesn't really have much of a bearing, but it just happened. But the final thing, and it's more of a contention because I don't want to stir as much, discourse as possible. because I have a couple of people I know who are very, very upset with some of the results concerning the unvoiced elections. But Tsukasa out of nowhere, man. I don't have any opinions of like, because I don't really have any, I don't know if I like Tsukasa or if I don't like Tsukasa because, she just isn't on my radar. But I was so surprised. Okay.
So for a little bit of context, a lot of people, especially on Twitter, were campaigning hard for Nanami to be, a part of the 3 winners for the voiced auditions. And who we got this year was Akari, obviously, because Taberungo is such a huge meme right now.
If your millions of Nico Nico Doga views didn't win you that one, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, like straight up, like Akari would have just not existed if she did not win that. Akira, which was a very pleasant surprise for a good number of people, because a good number of people thought that she dropped out.
Yeah,
after Ryamu came out, but
Dude,
then
I'm
this
so happy.
year, but then this year it's like, hey, here she is. She's getting a voice. She's in second place, and the third one was Tsukasa Kiryu. Now, there are a few factors that people, found out about over the past week or two. Was the fact that while Nanami P's were definitely very loud, Tsukasa P's were a lot more coordinated. Because if you looked at the general results, you'd see that in the general election, Nanami was in the general rankings for the general election. She was somewhere in the top 50. But we don't know the overall rankings for the voice auditions because they didn't put anything beside, third place. Oh, she was 50th. Okay, yeah, she was straight up 50th. They didn't any voice audition results
Seriously?
aside from the top 3.
Really? Wow.
So people are saying that it could just be a factor of producers not really focusing their votes in that. Nanami P's probably wanted Nanami to be ranked in both the general election and the voiced audition. Meanwhile, Tsukasa P's were a lot more focused and say, get her a voice. Get her a voice right now. We don't care about the general election. Just go to the voiced audition. I feel like that culminated in, Tsukasa just climbing her way to the win. There was also Akari in the general election, and I think she was 37th or something.
Wow, who the heck voted for that? What? Seriously? Damn.
Yeah, Akari is in the general election rankings. She's in 37th, 38th. So yeah, a lot of people are saying that while the Nanami P's were definitely loud, some people, because, she did rank in the general election, some people feel that their votes weren't, as focused as Tsukasa P's. Okay, I'm not saying anything. I'm not, bringing anything to light. I'm not, saying anything's gospel. I'm saying, that's, the popular speculation, is that while the Nanami P's were definitely, very loud, they also didn't focus their votes as much on the voiced auditions as Tsukasa P's did, and that could be why Tsukasa got the voice that she did. But also, this is a thing to note for the future. A lot of people were super confident in Nanami because a lot of trackers on Twitter that tracked how many people brought up that they voted for Nanami or campaigning for her. They said they were basically putting Nanami on the top, and a lot of people were following that because again we weren't getting prelims. And then the moment Tsukasa showed up as Akira and Tsukasa both showed up in the top 3 when people were so confident that it was going to be Akari, Shinobu, Nanami. A lot of people basically just said, well, trackers are useless. I mean, if they did it before, now they're yeah, trackers are complete horseradish.
I mean, we were clawing tooth and nail for any information of anything that wasn't the general election because we all knew who was going to win general election anyway. But look, this is more a personal point for me. I'm really, really, I don't have any opinions, super, super set in stone opinions for whoever wins. I'm just really, really bummed out for the Nanami P's I know, because a couple of them I know were really, a lot of creative ones. A lot of them worked really, really hard. It's part of the reason why I can't stand every time election happens, because I see all these people. It's a very special event for sure, and, congrats to everybody who gets their wins, but, for every winner, there's got to be losers. Feet are always stepping on some form of concrete, and some people are the feet, some people are the concrete. But my heart goes out to all the Nanami Ps who just couldn't get their way after everything they did. Maybe next year, but I can understand if they don't want to try again next year, because after the gigantic push, because you gotta see how hard they pushed this year. There were like videos and shiny colors quality MVs and stuff. They even wrote scripts for her. They wrote stuff like, people were cleaning up the friggin' ocean in name of her, and like, after all that, it didn't work. I just feel so bad.
If anything, I like to think of a glass half full situation. I feel like one of two things will happen. Either at some point there's probably going to be like some Gekijo episode that has her voiced out of the blue, because like very recently we've been seeing that, Gekijo has kind of been taking a lot more seriously of like being a new avenue for voiced idols. Like we got Atsumi, and just recently we got Reina Koseki voiced through Gekijo, so I feel like they're probably like looking at Nanami's popularity, and they're probably going to have her voiced through some other avenue, because they probably saw those numbers and they're like, we can't just like ignore this forever. We feel like we gotta at least give them something, and if that doesn't happen, then I think it's very safe. It's fairly safe to say, I'm not going to see but fairly safe to say that Nanami's competition isn't going to be as strong next year, considering that Akari and Akira were very strong competition this year, because a lot of people really just wanted like all the new 7 to just have voices, especially like Akari and Akira. And like, granted, there are still like a lot of like popular candidates for a voice, like, Shinobu's a really popular one, Kodoka's a really popular one, Kana's a popular one. But I feel like more than a lot of them, Nanami's probably going to like come out on top, assuming they do voiced auditions again next year, which I personally think they should, because I actually do like this new format of, general election and voiced audition at the same time.
I hope they keep it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little more separate, but it's also like a little more consistent in terms of like voiced audition, because they probably knew for a while that a lot of people were voicing in the general election purely for new voices and nothing else. So they probably just wanted to acknowledge that and just have like a separate thing for them entirely. And it's something they've done before, but last time they did it, they really, let's just say, didn't think through it properly ahead.
That's buried history. Leave the hatchet under the dirt, okay?
I'm just bringing it up for context, but this year it actually went really well. Like, I feel like it went a lot better, considering that they actually did, they did it in that it's just the top 3 instead of just like first place. They didn't reveal the voice right then and there, and I feel like this format was a lot better for them, and I do hope that they do keep it, especially considering that there are a lot more unvoiced idols that people want to see. Like, again, Nanami, Shinobu, Kodoka, Noah, who, 2020, I am still surprised she does not have a voice. She's the only one of the top 20 of the last voiced audition to still not have a voice, and I am still surprised, because she is one of those that it's like, how have you not been voiced yesterday?
Did you know that when I started CG, I thought she was a voiced idol? That's how much I expected Noah to be. Like, I saw her, I'm like, oh, who's her voice actor? And then she says, and then someone tells me she doesn't have one. I'm like, what?
She looks great. How? Yeah, she looks great. She has a lot of connections to voiced idols. Like, she's in a unit with Anastasia and Miku, for God's sake. And again, she ranked really high in like 2014, 2015 in the voiced audition. She was in the top 20, and she's the only one on that rank that isn't voiced yet. So that's like really, really weird. But I feel like she's going to be like a good contender for like next year, assuming they don't just like, have like I think the unit name was like Nyan 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 or something like that. Like they have an event for them, and Noah's just voiced out of nowhere, kind of like they did with individuals in Mide.
Individuals. Yeah, that's what happened, and then they made Answer, and that song's great. But moving on from election news, there's a last couple of things to talk about here. Some interesting tidbits. We talked about Riyamu before in the earlier part of the CG section, and when you talk about her, you have to talk about the person who everyone thought would now be inactive because she's in. One Miss Koshimizu Sachiko. And everyone thought that she was never going to come back. And everyone thought that she's done. And since her voice actor is married and has better responsibilities now, and she probably has too many times, too much work voicing anime, voicing other shows, getting married to freaking, what's his name? Kaji Yuki of all people, star-studded voice actor, loved by all the people. Guess what? She came back. And she currently, if I'm not mistaken, has the highest cutoff for an event in the
highest
for 2020.
The highest cutoff of 2020 and possibly the longest event that CG has had, if not in a while, but ever, in terms of like Starlight Stage.
While I was following the event, I was like, wait, how is this event still going on? It seems like it's been on for like 11 days or something. Like, after the Theater Days event done, I was like, okay, so how'd you guys fare in the CG event? I'm like, it's still going. They told me it's still going. What? Didn't it start 2 weeks ago or something like that? And then, highest cutoff. It also helps that they changed the format for Starlight Stage events, where it's not like 2 cards now. It's not just 1, where you can like rank the 2 cards now. So it kind of influences that. So Sachiko,
and also, I think they lowered. Like, I think it was this game that they lowered like the points requirement to get the ranking card.
Yeah, they changed a lot of the requirements, the thresholds needed for getting the cards. They started that off with the Princess Connect Story collab event, and then that's what happened for Sachiko. She's back, guys. She's back, and she's ready to get bashed.
She's back, baby, and yet we also see Shuko with black hair, and it's like, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute,
dude. Okay, let me lay it down right now. I love black hair Shuko. I'm all for that stuff. I love black hair Shuko.
Of course you do. Yeah. I know your preferences, dude.
In fact, when all the fan art came of where everybody was wearing a black-haired wig that was like the best 2 days of my life as an Idolmaster fan. So if any of you, yeah. So, other than that, we have one final thing to talk about regarding CG, which is something that I hope, if proved successful, every Idolmaster game does, and that is subscriptions. Let me break this down to you.
Hooray.
So subscriptions. If you've played other Idol games, or maybe even other non-Idol mobile games, if you play, your Princess Connects, or your Arc Knights, or your Azure Lanes and whatnot, or your Girls Front Lines and stuff, there are things you can buy that cost, like, let's say for CGSS terms, let's say you spend about 980 paid gems worth of money. And then you get around 1.5 times that amount and a special bonus, which is like more money, more fans, or was it more money? I think, more fans and more XP. Or more money and more XP. They're just like, they're more money and more fans. So you get that for the entire, like, duration of the subscription. Yeah, more money and more XP. So you get that for the duration of the subscription, and you sort of rack up rewards the longer you stay subscribed. Now, it's not live just yet. You have a trial. You can avail of a trial for it for like 2 weeks before it, and then cancel it if you don't like it. Like, if you don't really feel like this isn't doing anything for me, I can just buy gems straight up. Why do I have to put up with this subscription thing? It's good because for the longest time, I have been asking Banco to do this for any of their games because they don't do it for TD. They don't do it for Sidem. They don't do it for Shiny Colors. They don't do it for CG until now. And if this proves successful, I want them to do it for all the other games because, during our previous podcasts here, when I've discussed stuff with Cho and whatnot, I feel like there are less and less options for Dolphins for certain games. But if this is basically a Dolphin option with subscriptions, you don't want, you want to get some form of paid advantage, but you don't want to pay that much. And you also want to support them without, like, emptying your freaking bank account, like what most Japanese producers do anyway. I hope this proves successful, and I hope that, other people take note of it.
Okay, I do personally hope this does really well. But this is just like a very personal thing. Like this isn't like anything against like how they're doing it. I feel like they could do it really well. But me personally, considering, the past, I've kind of been burned on like subscription services in freaking gacha games. Because the first time I heard about this was Mario Kart Tour. And if any of you guys have played Mario Kart Tour, you know that did not go over very well. So I'm super wary of subscriptions in freaking Gacha games, but who knows? Maybe CGSS is going to do this well. A lot of people are saying that that they're just like taking this from Princess Connect, which you're kind of right, but I feel like there's like kind of there could be a reason for that, considering that if you play Princess Connect and you play Starlight Stage, you realize that their UIs are really similar, if not completely identical. Like legit, like little story. Like when I first played Princess Connect Redive, like on day one when it launched on my phone, I was able to navigate all the menus perfectly because it was the exact same as Starlight Stage. Like even right down to having the exact same room function and everything. So I feel like, they're putting some features in Princess Connect and backporting them to Starlight Stage, probably because it's like super easy. Like they run on the same engine, they have the same UI, so it was probably just a really simple like copy paste from one game to another. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not a game dev, but I feel like it could just be that both games have such similar infrastructure and UI that was probably super easy for them to just have like a feature in one game and backport it to the other.
All I know is if that shows up in Shiny and TD, I'm first in line. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, I might as well take it for CG too, because, I just said Psyopes, right? Psy 5 is definitely happening. Yo, Psyopes in the chat, and who are watching this video. Psy 5, get ready. It's going to happen.
I thought Psy 5 already happened. It's just that Yukari
I'm sorry.
was just for some
Psy
reason
6.
in the
Sorry.
It's for some reason. For some reason, Yukari was in the front.
Yukari P's are not going to watch our podcast anymore, man. God damn it. Yeah, so I hope that subscription service goes well, and if it does, I hope other people, Bamco, come on. So, I think that wraps it up. Did I miss anything? No, I missed something. Yeah. So, one last thing to wrap up CG is that they announced I'm pretty sure that if I stated every single collab that they've done, which is, pretty much just side game stuff, a lot of you would have already caught wind of that and, pretty much expected it. But, something that I think people are going to be a little more interested in is the Kiko Labs, where Minami and Kaede have the first 2 songs, and they pretty much revealed just a couple of hours ago the room accessories that are dolls of characters from key series that are basically just telling you what series they're going to get the collabs from. Because we already have one. The first one was Minami's song from, I think it was Air, and then, Kaede's was the one with the song from Air, I think. You guys can just check out the room items. The characters are there, so we also have one Clanad character and one, Angel Beats character, so it pretty much just explains that the last 2 songs are going to be from Angel Beats and Clanad. I hope that they give Yuki a collab song because they gave Kozue one last time, so, hands crossed, hands crossed, fingers crossed, goddammit.
Cross your hands!
Yeah, cross my hands.
God damn.
Let's go. But yeah, Kiko Lab, they, of course, like what the other collabs, room items, songs, good stuff. Especially if you're a Key fan, which probably means you're 35 years old and above. So, hope you'll like it. I don't hope you'll like it. I know you're gonna like it.
And one last thing for, oh my god, yeah, cross your hands like you're Seth Killian. But yeah, freaking, one last thing to bring up is another thing that they announced a couple hours ago is that they showed the silhouettes for the next 3 SSRs. And it's safe to say that those 3 SSRs are going to be part of the upcoming Bridal Gacha because, it's almost June.
Get ready.
And a lot of people, and of course, June brides. So a lot of people are very much somewhat questioning who the cool and passion reps could be. Some people are saying it's, some character. Like a lot of people are saying the cool one is Mizuki because of how the bangs are oriented. But every single person has pretty much accepted that the cute rep is going to be Chitose.
I've heard stories that the blue one was Fumika. And
yes. Some people early on said Fumika, but some people looked at the bangs and compared it to
those are
Mizuki's initial normal, and they pretty much accepted that it's Mizuki, that's gonna be bridal Mizuki. Yeah. But everyone has pretty much accepted that the cute rep is going to be Chitose. And I feel like a lot of people were wanting that, like they absolutely wanted Bridal Chitose, because out of all the new 7, Chitose has like practically no content. Because when you consider that all the others have like at least like 1 or 2 event SRs, like 1 or 2 SRs in freaking MOBA Mass, and like cameos like all over the place, like freaking, I know Hayate has 2 event SRs in Derasute, freaking Chio has 2 SRs in Derasute for events. Like, a lot of them are getting a lot of content except Chitose, so a lot of people were really hoping that she'd get the Bridal Gasha, and it also helps that because of like, you know, the spin-off animation, she already, you know, has like a bridal costume. She was already a bride once, so a lot of people were like, yeah, no, that it makes sense to have her as like the bridal SSR.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you guys are in the target for those 3 up there, I hope, you know, luck be with you. You're facing quite the adversary back there. You all know who she is. Quick water break. Before we get into Side M, because I have something very, very verifiable. I'm very happy that we have a Side MP here to help me verify this, because I've got a little, you know, whispers, hints there. Because, so, before I preface to the actual news, have any of you been following the actual Side M Twitters? Probably not. I have. And I know a couple of people who also do follow the Side M Twitters. And we've been noticing things. Well, we're gonna talk about the actual costumes later. We're gonna talk about Sem and, you know, all the other drama on stage stuff later. But okay, I've been noticing something with the Side M Twitter, and I am very, very certain that they have new staff, because they're finally, you know, doing what a Twitter's supposed to do. They're actually setting out proper event times. They're actually setting out, you know, schedules. They actually post actual, you know, fully working notices, because it's no surprise at this point. It's no secret at this point that we give Side M management a lot of shit. But credit where credit is due. The Twitter recently has been doing a great job with, like, you know, telling people this is what's going to happen this time. These are the details for this one. These are the details for that one. It's like something that is doing, or something that's been happening to the Twitter recently is just like, you might have gotten a new staff, or they have a new manager now who, you know, is something like that. But it's great that Side MOBA finally has, you know, all their details put out, because there are some pretty important details coming up, and I will get to them right now. So, and I do pardon if I'm starting to slow down with my momentum now, because my throat is becoming insanely dry. We're currently on an hour and 30 minutes. But we currently have the costumes for Sem and Shinsaku Econ for their drama on stage, which we will probably just show up on the screen or in the description below. But these are references to one of the most popular, one of the most well-used, well-loved, you know, themes of all time. It's, you know, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you know. And I look at these. I mean, these are just... How well done are these costumes? I mean, it's so well done that I actually thought this wasn't Side M, right? I actually thought that this was like a completely different game, a completely autonomous game. Like, I thought this was like the new Tales series or something, because these costumes look like they were from another game. And, I mean, look at Jiro. Somebody in the chat was already going off crazy about how good Jiro looks. Genbu and Suzaku are just basically my favorite, because I'd play those characters. If those characters were someone I could pick, yeah, I'd pick that for sure.
Everyone, when they looked at Genbu and Suzaku, they just straight up said that they look like Dynasty Warriors characters. Actually
good ones. You know, actually good Dynasty Warriors characters. Because, well, I mean, when they were mentioning Genbu and Suzaku for all the time, I'm pretty sure that's what they had in mind, and they just fit well right into this. Michio looks very fabulous, and Rui, he's got that liar thing. Drama on stage is going to happen, and the next one is going to be Jupiter and F-Flags, if I'm correct. Yeah, Jupiter and F-Lags has also been...
Yes!
Yeah, Jupiter and F-Lags has also been revealed. It's pretty interesting. I don't want to spoil everything, so you can check that out. But, you know, in terms of how Sidem is doing, without the, you know, with the thing we're not supposed to talk about, I mentioned that Cybernetics War still has their release going on, which is, you know, pretty intact. And I heard the latest chapter was like the best one, because the previous two ones were like, yeah, they were very well received, but like the latest one was like a jump in quality of like storytelling and like character development. I think they also got a new writer for there. But yeah, the latest Cybernetics War, I'm yet to read it because I really like reading Cybernetics War, mainly because it's got a couple of themes that I really like. But yeah, go check it out when you can. Obviously, try to do it as legally as possible. For June, they already mentioned that June will feature Kamiya and his Remember Shot. And I've gone on the record on this show saying that Remember Shot is some of the most, you know, best content that anybody can get. So please look forward to that one as well. Hideo has his side memories coming up, so that's also some content that, you know, people are gonna look forward to. I really wish they do it like super well, because Hideo is a secret fan favorite of mine. That I wish only gets best stuff. And then for the 7th drama on stage, we have High Joker and Altissimo, which I'll be looking forward to because I'm an Altissimo fan. And the 8th one is Dramatic Stars and Legenders, which I think is going to be like one of the more looked forward to ones, because Dramatic Stars are Dramatic Stars and Legenders are Legenders, and I don't think they have crossed paths before. If anyone can like correct me if I'm wrong, because you know, it's pretty hard to remember everything, but I don't think Dramatic Stars and Legenders have crossed paths before. You've had CDs where it's Dramatic Stars and Bite or Dramatic Stars and Jupiter, but Dramatic Stars and Legenders, not yet. So it's an interesting combination on how they'll handle this stuff. I can't remember if we managed to release all the CDs just yet. Have we? I think someone can help me out on that one. You know, every CD that we could before it hit, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, drama on stage is shaping up to be very interesting. Showing by, oh yeah, there we go. Of course. So the fifth anniversary disc is delayed, which everybody should have expected. But yeah, we should look forward to, you know, more costumes. Sorry, more costumes and just a lot more updates from the Twitter. I hope that we can somehow manage to continue with the rest of the releases, because I feel like I've been looking forward to the unit CD a lot, and it was a shame that the situation has gotten in the way of the unit CD. Like when we were talking about shiny colors and how they were affected, I'm pretty sure something similar is going to happen here. So maybe if we could like use the same time frame where we're going to expect it starting around August or starting around September, that would be a little more realistic. It says here, yeah. So digital release is is fine, because Jupiter, Bait, and the Kokoro CD, their CD will release digitally on 15th and physically on August 5. There we go. So August 5. So maybe the August season, I think that Japan is figuring August is a good time frame. August is a good threshold to, you know, start releasing things properly. I actually haven't really heard of what 765 is going to do with their CDs, because Landis is like, you know, really hard to complain. But apparently we have some dates here for Side M, August 5. So I think we got something here. It helps. So look forward to that. And if ever they, you know, manage to put something up physically, please do support them, because they need that money. You know, it's pretty rough out there.
Man, August, they're gonna make so much money. So much goddamn money. Everything's gonna be out by then. Everyone's just gonna run to the store, just buy all the CDs. They're just gonna make so much money. Like, for God's sake, like, Bamco profits are probably going to skyrocket, like, I don't know, 200% by the end of August.
You gotta fund the robot. You gotta fund that Psycho Kaiser, which, if you guys actually, we didn't really go in depth about the April Fools, but Sidem's April Fools was still one of the more impressive ones for me because they freaking built a giant robot with everybody. You know, if you put different units in the robot, they'd see different things. So it's like they had like different lines depending on who they were, and if you put them in the robot, the line would change, and they would take the space and stuff. They call it the 315 Kaiser. Yeah, solo lines and unit lines. So it was one of the more thematic April Fools, if you ask me.
And it's also blessed that now STEM it joins the other branches as having an official mecha.
Yeah,
because 765 has Mujin Gatai Kisaragi, and Mishiro has Kirarin Robo, and now STEM has Psycho Kaiser. Now we're just waiting for Shiny to have their big giant mech.
Come on, Shiny.
We'll all be complete, and we'll all have like the ultimate Super Robot Wars mega collab.
Yeah, come on, Shiny Colors. Where's your robot? We need a robot. Why can't we get a robot? Yeah, we're probably gonna. Well, it's only a matter of time until we get like something like a Kaho Kaiser or something. Because pretty damn sure, if Teru has his robot, she's gonna want one too. So I mean,
Justice v Hokage Kaiser. Let's go.
Daddy Teru's got a robot. Why can't his kids get one? So yeah, please wait for August 5, where most things are probably gonna release at the same time anyway. And that's all I have for Sidem, unless maybe Mary can chime in a couple of more ones before we recuperate ourselves. Unless Metal, do you got something for now?
I don't really got anything for now. I think it's good that we move on, unless chat seems to be ready. So damn it, Cho, don't ask which now. God,
there are 4 nows in the series. Yeah,
765. 765.
Yeah. We're going to talk about 765 right now to close off this amazingly long podcast, which is currently going on 1 hour and 36 minutes.
Yeah, it's only going to get double that length.
Yeah, it's only about to go double that length. Not just kidding. So we have a couple of things to talk about for 765. Actually, no, we got a handful. First, I'm going to talk about Master Artist 04, which we finally have details for. So Master Artist 04 is going to be released summer of Japan. I don't know when Japan's summer is. Is that the same time? Is that like around August too? Because that would make sense.
I mean, officially the beginning of summer is either May 21st or June 21st, I believe.
Extremely quick. That's extremely close.
Yeah, but even then, like, it could just be like summer where they're just like September 20th, 2020, the very last day of summer or some shit like that.
I mean, with very, very, obscure release dates like that, you could just mend it or like bend it to whatever you want to be released for. But whatever. Master Artist 04, we finally have details. Apparently, there is going to be 2. I think this is how they were going to decide the covers, because they have decided covers for the Master Artist albums this way. Every Master Artist album has 2 covers, and one of them for this album, Master Artist 04, is going to be decided by whichever song the Seiyu picked from the list of songs that they were sent in. So before Master Artist 04, right after the stream that revealed Master Artist 04 came out, they had a survey where you could submit songs that you want the 765 All-Stars to sing. And I was initially thinking that whatever was the most voted song was going to be, the one they would win. But that's legit impossible because people all around Japan and the world would vote for like 100 songs, and there's no way you could put together that data. So maybe they just like put together some songs and say, okay, they go over to the Seiyu and say, oh, I want to sing this one. Okay. And a result of that is we have our first wave of Master Artist 04, which will include Haruka, Yayoi, and Takane. And we have revealed on Music on the Radio that Takane's first cover is going to be Glamorous Sky, which is featured in the movie of Nana, which is Mai Nakajima, if I got the performer correctly. Yeah, I think I did. So it's a very, it's a song that you probably heard like from Bemani games, or if you play Bang Dream, you probably heard it. It's a very loved song, and I personally, as a Takane P, I was very excited when I heard it. But I'm actually still happy to have Master Artist 04 news because, as we have repeatedly discussed on this show, delays of releases and stuff getting in the way. But it's exciting that we finally have a date and details.
A lot of 765 news is essentially just, hey, we finally have details and news on this one thing, which will bring me to the next topic that I'm going to like very minorly go over. Starlit Season, yeah, remember that game? Starlit Season was actually featured in the May 2020 issue of V-Jump. And they said something very interesting in that they're going to reveal some form of like additional information on the next issue. So at some point in June, it is very, very, very likely that they're going to reveal more info on Starlit Season. Very likely, hopefully, you know, the unannounced idols. How I think they're going to do it, this is personal speculation, but this month they only showed off, 765 AS, Namako AS, the original 13 girls. I feel like what they're going to do, and this would probably be a good way to like drip feed info but also bring in hype, is each month they're going to have a one-page spread of Starlit news, and they're going to show the rosters for each branch. And I mean the full rosters, not just like, the 3 we already knew from January, but like they're going to have all 5 there at once. So I feel like, what they could do is that next month they could have, the Cinderella girls characters, but reveal like the final 2 for that branch. And then for July, it'll be Million, and for August, it'll be Shiny. So that way we'll know the full roster before when the game is supposed to come out.
What really surprised me is the fact that it was on V-Jump. Like, Jump. That stuff is for shonens, right? Like, most of it is for shonen games, like, your Dragon Balls. Well, that's probably a reason why, because Bamco has stakes in Dragon Ball. But of all the magazines to show up on, it's on a V-Jump magazine. And I was like, okay.
Listen. If you've been part of the FGC, Lord knows how many people in the freaking Dragon Ball Fighters community are also producers.
Well, I've probably seen a couple of them. Yeah, whatever news we get is still news, because if you've been lurking a couple of the 765 Discords, a gigantic meme that has no rest under any circumstance is when Starlit news, and I'm tired of entertaining people who ask that multiple times. So here you go. Here's some freaking Starlit news. Okay?
Yeah, like me.
Yeah,
like me.
Like you. Jesus Christ. So sit your ass down.
I'm asking once every month, and he just gets so fed up with it.
just sit your ass down. Let V-Jump tell us. Let V-Jump show everything. We're gonna be okay?
I mean, at the very least, we're finally getting something, considering that, the past 2 events that we could have gotten news, which were Taipei Game Show and Nico Choikagi, both got, like, canceled, and they held up announcements.
None of that is happening.
So they're like, so they probably, like, I feel like they probably wanted, like, the right avenue to, like, reveal everything for Starlit. I feel like what they wanted to do is that they wanted to reveal each new idol alongside their voice actors, which, that makes sense, because that's how they revealed Starlit in the first place. They had the voice actors for Tsubasa, Mika, Haruka, and Kaho show up on stream because their characters are going to be in the game. And they probably wanted to repeat that for the other ones, but we realized we can't do that. Screw it, let's put it on a magazine. Hey, why don't we give you a bit of we already have a little bit of a space in that magazine to promote UI Goku, so why not?
just slap Goku into everything. That's exactly how DBFZ goes anyway. But yeah, we have started season news, so look forward to that. Now we get into a couple of the more meaty things that have happened in terms of Million Live, because the past week or so it's been crazy.
The past 2 months, but yeah, especially this past week. Holy crap.
So, for most of the events that have passed by, like in-game MLTD events, we have finally had the next Million Theater Wave event, which was Zettai Teki Performer, as performed by, I can't pronounce this correctly the first time, Miracle X Passion, because I always am tempted to say expansion. But how is it pronounced? Am I butchering this? Am I just like really?
Yes. It's Miracle Sonic. It's Miracle Sonic X Passion.
There, Miracle Sonic X Passion. How the hell is Roko not in this unit? Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah. So it's Miracle Sonic X Passion, and it is mostly it is the Genki unit. I wouldn't want to say Genki, more like sporty, physical right? Because
the dancers, they're the dancers.
Yeah, it is like Ayumu Noriko and then Elena and Umi. So the dancers, like super dance.
Yeah, like if this was Green Mask, this would be the dance type national anthem.
Yeah, you would. These four girls are who you would find tearing up the dance floor way more than anybody else. So they had a nice. The song was definitely like. I heard nobody talk bad about this song. Like, usually when a new song comes out, people are like, or like, this song is great, or like, I don't really know. Like, I've heard a lot of people chime in with their opinions of the song, and like, it's a lot more positive than I thought it would be, because it was very unique sounding. Ever since the past Million Theater Wave, which was like. Was the last Million Theater Wave really Hanasakia? Was it? Or no, it was Super Duper. Or was it? I can't keep track anymore. Yeah, it was Super Duper. Yeah, it was Super Duper.
It was Super Duper, yeah.
So it was like...
it's been a while. Holy crap.
Yeah, it has been a while. That's why it feels like Million Theater Wave is like taking it really, really slow, especially when you look at how many more Million Theater Waves are coming, and this has just been like one of the more recent ones. But like, so there are a lot of Ayumu Ps out there who just wanted something cool to talk about her. And there was just like a long period of waiting for her to do something cool. And apparently, as per the loving, very, very well transmitted data and, information of some of the Ayumu Ps that we know, they love this event. I'm talking like they waited for this event for so long. And, People say that, well, isn't it kind of weird that they had to travel back in time for this? I'm like, sir, ma'am, that's what Million Live is about, okay?
Okay. I want to get into that in a little bit because that makes me so happy.
Yeah, because, okay, so let me give you guys a quick rundown on what happened in the event. We time traveled, okay? We went back to the 90s. And...
Yeah, okay. So basically, the spirit of the 765 Theater... Okay. So basically, the unit was tasked with making something that would sound, very, like, in a brief summary, they wanted to have something that sounded very, dancey, very disco-y, very 90s. And the spirit of the 7-6... Okay, yeah, the song was already made. It's just that they wanted to, like, get a feel for it. And Ayumu wanted to know, the feel for the dance.
They wanted to jazz it up. They wanted to make it better.
Yeah, and the freaking, like, spirit of the 765 Theater... I'm not kidding. Read the commu. Just wanted to basically the spirit basically said, okay, you want to figure out what's wrong? I'm sending all of you to the 90s. Like, they just straight up time travel to the 90s. Like, if you look at Noriko's Unawakened SR in that event, she's freaking out over seeing a CRT TV. That's how far back we've gone.
Yeah, like the theater is an empty lot. Nothing's there. They go to the city and everyone's wearing bad-looking platform shoes, everything.
Yeah. So Ayumu pretty much finds her answer by going to a 90s disco and just essentially just hitting it off super well with a lot of the dancers. And what was really key with Ayumu's character development was Noriko was actually getting upset because she thought that, Ayumu was enjoying herself so much that Ayumu would just stay in the 90s and just leave her behind. And Ayumu was like, what? No, don't be silly. Don't be, ridiculous. I'm still going to be with you. I just needed to find, the right rhythm for the dance. So, it was really good for Ayumu Ps because it was the one moment that Ayumu looked cool. It was the one moment where she was actually able to express herself without being, the total failure that she's always portrayed as. It was for once that Ayumu wasn't treated as a joke character.
Because, it's something that we really want to pride ourselves for whenever we finally have something like this happen, because there's no joke that a lot of people feel left out. I mean, we just discussed about this entire phenomenon, 40 minutes ago, where it feels like, okay, your character's not popular, we're not going to give you anything good. No, I mean, it's widely regarded that Ayu was not exactly one of the more popular characters, but they got this something good for her. They didn't leave her behind. So people have waited, people have seen, maybe they just don't want to give her anything cool, and they gave her something cool. And the song is great, the costume is great, I had a lot of fun times playing the event. So one of the more well-received MTW events that happened in game. But another thing that was a lot.
I just want to chime in that it is really good that Bamco is pretty much like acknowledging like a lot of the more unpopular idols and just giving them something so that it can at least like give them more depth. Like going to Shiny like a little bit, they did something very similar with like May in the most recent Stray Light produce event where they basically just funny thing, they actually made May's unpopularity with the fan base canon and used that for her character development, and I thought that was really good for her.
Yeah, and they did it, like they made that same thing for Ayumu because it's widely regarded that she doesn't have a lot of fans, but they still gave her something pretty cool to do. So props to that. It's pretty wholesome. Speaking of wholesomeness, that's what we're going to talk about on our next topic right now, which is I hope I pronounced this properly the first time, which is the Tezukuri 39 event, or the Handmade Thank You event, which is probably a first. I'm not quite sure if this is a first, if other branches have done it before, or other branches have, did their own version of this. But the Tezukuri 39 event is basically a stream where you chat, basically, because what happens is, for each day of the Tezukuri 39 event, you're going to have a host. Day 1 was Cora Azu, day 2 was Pion, which is, day 1 is Shizuka's voice actor, and day 2 was Mirai's voice actor. And what happens is, they play clips of previous lives that introduce each of the seiyuu, and like their personal message that they had for everybody. It's like, each of the seiyus would say something like, even though we're going through this tough time, I hope producers are okay, and we'll see each other next time. That's basically the general gist of what everybody said. And then afterwards, they would interview, like the first interview, they picked the perfect way to kick it off, right? They kicked it off with a Cora Azu interview with freaking Aimee, and her guitar was like blinking out and in out of existence. And the
green screen really did not like Aimee's guitar at all.
Yeah, Aimee's guitar.
It's like the whole thing was very sweet and very heartwarming. But it also introduced so many amazing memes because not every VA has very optimal setup for like remote chat and like Zoom chats. So it came up with like really funny memes where some girls like their mic were like very low quality, they'd cut off a little. I had Aimee's super transparent guitar because of the green screen. Like it was just really funny. And it's like I didn't watch the stream. Was Coco there?
Coco, do you mean Chocho, or do you, which one are you talking about?
Tomoka's VA.
Oh, Tomoka's VA. Yeah, she was in day 1.
Yeah, and she probably had, like, the best mic quality out of all of them.
Oh, like, that was crisp, that was clean, flawless audio, nothing short.
Yeah, because she has a whole recording studio in her house. She's prepared for the apocalypse.
So what happened was, during the entire event, while the interviews and the live previews are happening, you have this chat room on the very bottom left. And it's like Twitch chat. Like, you can just see it scroll up really, really fast when something happens. I'm pretty sure you've all seen Twitch chat at least once in your life. Where the seiyus are talking. Like the actual seiyus of the Million Live Girls who were supposed to be there on day 1 and day 2. And the weirdest thing about the entire thing is that every fan who was going to go to the event was like, guys, we got to be cautious. Don't chat anything, too frisky. Don't make too many memes. We got to be respectful. And then you see the Seiyu chat and they're making fun of themselves. They're posting borderline vulgar stuff about each other. And we're like, what was all this courteousness for? They're literally yelling at each other. There was some stuff that was being said on that chat that
Seiyu yelling at each other and saying expletives is just the spirit of Million Live.
Yeah, basically it was like peak Million Live, only without the live part. It was just like a stream. But overall, excuse me, it was one of the more wholesome things because at the end of every day, hold on, give me a second. At the end of every day, the cast who was brought to perform or show up for the stream did something like a remote thank you, where they basically recorded the song "Thank You" by themselves at their house, and then they just kind of edited everything in, and then they had all these shots where they're holding their dolls and whatnot, they're holding their merch of themselves, of their characters, and it was overall, just a super wholesome stuff. A couple of things that happened during the stream were both days ended up global #1 trending. I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea whose fault that was, but both days ended up global #1. I'm not talking Japan #1. I'm talking global #1 amidst things that I'd rather not talk about. But global #1 is no ordinary feat, and for it to happen on both days, Cora Azu was definitely pressured because somebody just told her in chat, "Hey, Cora Azu, we're actually #1 on Twitter." She's like, you mean in Japan? And then no, we're actually #1 all over the world. I'm like, okay, so Cora Azu, no pressure, do your best. They kept bullying her. It's like, okay, you now have to MC for the entire world. I'm like, this is getting a little weird right now, but well, #1 for both days. Congrats to that. And just because of that, Pion actually had to advertise the actual correct hashtag. Say, hey, let's get #1 on day 2 too. And guess what happened? Guess what else happened? Guess what else was revealed on that stream? We can't talk about 765 without
Chupa.
Okay, so we talked about Otahen Anthem a while ago, and we all know Otahen Anthem is like a musical inclement of shitposting. But there's
y'all weren't ready for this.
No, there's a different side to what that person made, because that person made another song. That person made Otahen Anthem, and that person made let me pronounce this correct. Even the name is hard to say because it's just so wrong. I mean, do the idol. That's a phrase you don't say every day, and you shouldn't say every day because
it sounds stupid.
And then
I love it.
And then the second part is like something chupacabras. Basically, it's an entire song about chupacabras. So, for context, way back at January 2020, start of this freaking cursed year, we had a Million Live Kanchasai event, where at that Kanchasai event, we were supposed to vote for things in categories that compose a song of our choosing. And we ended up with a hard techno chupacabra song about challenges and determination with cliff climbing as the theme. And guess what?
And boy, did they deliver.
And that's exactly what we got. Like you could probably it's probably the less other trending IMAS video other than Otahen Anthem this year. Like, it's gonna be look. When it was released, people had no idea what a chupacabra was. Like, I don't even know if Japanese people even know what a chupacabra is, but when it was trending, it trended for like 8 whole hours at #4 or something. And then people were like...
I actually had to go around to some people and tell them that a chupacabra... For anyone that doesn't know, a chupacabra is basically... It's based on an old, Hispanic, Latino... I think it came from Mexico, I'm not sure.
From Mexico.
But it came... it came from a Mexican folktale where there is a monster that will suck the blood of your goats because, in Mexico back in the day, they're very rural and they had, a lot of goats. So, yeah, the chupacabra is basically a monster that goes around and just sucks the blood of the goats to the point where they just have no blood left. And, literally, the name chupacabra is Spanish for goat sucker.
Wait, that's what it means? Straight up,
yes,
1 for 1?
Yes, chupa in Spanish, in español, chupa means suck. And cabra is goat. So a chupacabra is literally goat sucker.
And, well, guess what? People had no idea what that was. So, of course, when they were
the more you know.
Yeah, of course, when they were introduced to this foreign concept that they didn't know, which was trending on Twitter for 8 hours, they were like, what the hell's a chupacabra? And then they click on it, and then they watch an MV of something they don't understand because idols are spinning all over the place, and now there's hard techno music everywhere. And it was one of the more unexplainable, weirder parts of Million Live for the past week. But, you guys can check out we'll probably leave another link in the description for people who want to check out the song, people who want to listen to it.
I think the funniest thing is that all throughout the commune, because there is a commune for it, everyone was pretty much acknowledging, what the fuck? What? Why am I what?
But
Chupacabra? What the fuck is a chupacabra?
let me at least. Okay, we have to do this. This is actually a straight up PSA. Please do not watch the MV if you have susceptibility to epileptic seizures. If you have problems with flashing lights, or difficult to see patterns. If you don't like strobe lights, if you don't like shifting colors, please do not watch the MV. Because when they meant an acid trip song, because like the MV for Otahen Anthem has pretty weird stuff going on, like they changed the stage and stuff. But this is legit,
a literal turd.
Yeah, this is legit shining lights. Like this is.
There's strobe effects.
Yeah, there are strobe effects, and there are.
Basically, if you're susceptible to epilepsy, like it is very highly recommended if you want to play this song on TD. If you're susceptible to epilepsy, change the game to play on 2D mode, please, because there's a lot of like strobe lights, there's a lot of flashing imagery, like a lot of like back and forth between the regular stage and just like a bunch of like hot, like bright green, red chupacabra eyes. There's strobe lights everywhere. So if you're susceptible to that, please change the game settings to play on 2D mode.
It doesn't help that red and green are two of the worst colors to put together and flash at a screen. I mean, does Vamco even know how hard that triggers somebody if they don't have proper vision care? But yeah, aside from the MV of probably one of the second weirdest song of the year, we finally have third anniversary campaign, because the third anniversary campaign train for Million Live is now leaving the train station. Choo choo.
I do also want to like say one more thing about the Chupacabra song before we move on from it. Is if you want an interesting time, put Leon or Sheikah in the song. Or even better, Leon and Sheikah 2 mix plus mode. You're going to be in for a trip, because I swear to you, you're going to listen to them and they're just going to sound like Legion. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, because it has Utawaike feature where everybody has their own part where they sing the thing about being a chupacabra and whatnot and climbing cliffs. But other than that, the last advertisement that we had for the Tezukuri 39 stream was something a lot more interesting to look forward to, because if you're a fan of Love Live, if you're a fan of Bang Dream and other series that have been leading up, music series that have been finding ways to advertise themselves leading up to now, you have probably been a viewer of their streams on YouTube, where they stream this live and then they stream that live and then everything's that. Now, this is no news because, this is no news. Well, yeah, it's very worth mentioning that in the Chupacabra song that everyone says the lines very differently. So, this is no news.
The funniest thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
The funniest thing to me is when you listen to like some highlights for me were Sumugi, because she sounds like she just wants to die. Freaking Fuka, she sounds like she's about to cry at any moment. And Shiho was actually the funniest one for me, because she took it so seriously.
She took the straight man approach. Also, shoutouts to the last Chupacabra read from Makoto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makoto's Chupacabra speech is something you'd probably hear before, I don't know, a charge into a great city or something.
Yeah, like all of it sounds like really like gung-ho, and then you get the actual Chupacabra line, and it's like, all right, she does have her girly side still.
It's so fucking weird. Okay. I think that's it on Chupacabra.
Yeah, because you know for a fact that in the special appeal they hold up a Chupacabra doll. They are making those things.
Buy a Chupacabra doll. Let's go.
Yeah, they are making those things and they are selling those things for damn sure. But to close off, we finally have third anniversary events, and to start off, we're gonna get a campaign where they are going to show off every previous Million Live from first live to fifth live. That was pretty hard to say, Million Live. So from first live to fifth live on YouTube. And like I said, this is the very first for IMAS, because IMAS has done this on Nico Nico Doga, and I will say this right now. There are reasons why we put this podcast here and not on Nico Nico Doga, because that site
that site is so old and outdated. It has a lot of legacy to it, but Jesus Christ, it's so old, so outdated. Like, granted, they are streaming all these lives on Nico Nico Doga as well, but count your blessings that they're merciful to us and streaming this on YouTube. They're also streaming it on the Theater Days app.
Yeah, you can watch it on the game, but there's some delay behind YouTube in the game. But you can put emotes on the game, because they have the thing where if you've been to a Shiny Colors stream as well on Enza, you got the pen lights and the emote thing. We got that too. So yeah, it's something that I thought like, hey, if Million Live is doing this, every other branch is gonna do it too. Because like Sidem did their streams recently, and they was on Nico Nico 2. So if we can get some Sidem lives on YouTube as well, CG lives, come on man, Shiny Colors first, let's go. So
it is fitting that Million Live is the first one to do this, considering that Million Live
the live branch.
They are the live branch, so it makes perfect sense that they'd be the first to do it.
True enough.
And I do like that. They did recently reveal the times, and they're starting all of them at 1400 hours JST. So if you're in the Eastern time zone, that's 1 a.m. So considering we're still in quarantine and you don't mind staying up late, then you definitely have something to look forward to.
Yeah, I definitely recommend watching at least, if you're going to watch 2, please watch 3rd and 4th. That's all I want you guys to watch. So yeah, we're going to wrap the 765 news with, they left us with quite the bummer. Now, it's no secret that we've had a couple of months where most of the Million Live in-game events, Theater Days in-game events, have been dormant, silent, for the most part, dead. In terms of ranking, in terms of like competition, in terms of like competitive nature, you know, how people are scoring and whatnot. And then, right before anniversary, they decided to announce a live factor featuring Chihaya Kisaragi and Shizuka Mogami. And trust me, if you were there when they announced it, it's as if you took a hornet's nest and shook it as hard as possible. Because, for the most part, this was the one song that Chihaya P's were looking forward to. Like, when they announced Million Live Theater Days, they're like, as soon as they put a live factor as an event, I'm tearing that. And 3 years later, well, I mean, I have talked to somebody who is willing to pay other people to help him. I mean, Jesus, it's weird. Yeah, there is actually weird that there's some blue stuff. You know, we got Hiyori in Shiny, we got Chihaya and Shizuka in Million Live, and then Kaoru's, I don't know what the heck Kaoru is doing, but Kaoru is doing something.
He's strutting his stuff, don't worry about it.
Kaoru is gonna show off.
The only odd thing out is that... Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. I was about to say that Rin doesn't really, like, have anything, but she does have Bride Rerun. So that's something. So yeah, it is, like, currently blue domination. Like, it's like around when Comic Cat was happening, it was Otaku domination. Now it's just blue domination.
Yeah, everything's blue. And it was so weird because Taiwan...
Daba-dee, daba-die.
Yeah, Taiwan Theater Days is gonna have Eternal Harmony as their event. And then right when they announced a live factor, some VTuber sang Yakusoku, which is like, I don't know if she was planning that or was it just coincidence. But yeah, a live factor. If there's any event that's gonna beat Seicho True Lover, which is like Anna and Yuriko, this is the event. This is the one. So get ready.
It is kind of some people were kind of surprised that they didn't save a live factor for another twin stage. Because, like, some people were thinking that a live factor would be, like, a good, like, 765 representative for, like, twin stage. But at the very least, having it as an event before anniversary is equal parts, oh no, but also equal parts, of course they were, because they definitely wanted, you know, some pre-anniv hype. And if you want to have pre-anniv hype, Chihaya Shizuka duo, that's the way to do it.
I love how most of the Million Live Discords were nudging each other in the shoulder. Hey, what if they did a live factor before Anniv? And everyone's like, nah. And then, like, the more months we come closer, hey, you know what? A live factor's coming. Nah. And then, like, well.
And then it happened, and then they were like, guys, we were joking.
We didn't want it. We just wanted a joke, and now Chihaya Ps are buying brand new iPads because they want a tier. That's the world we live in right now. In the middle of what is happening, we have actual factual Chihaya Ps buying iPads so that they can tier better. God bless them because they're gonna need it. But yeah.
And also God help them.
God help them. But yeah, I think we finally managed to reach the bottom of the barrel. We're currently on 2 hours and 10 minutes. Unless anyone else has any closing statements, I think we can wrap this up.
Can I just say that I'm, at the very least, really happy that Theater Days has pretty much just summoned the spirit of Grimace and just become, like, so goddamn crazy and wacky. Because, like, past events have usually just been, like, idols trying to find themselves and, like, actual freaking, just going around trying to, like, improve themselves. But meanwhile, this past event was literal time travel to the 90s because of the spirit of the freaking theater. And I just love it so goddamn much. Like, it feels like home to me. It feels like freaking home to me. That it's like, finally, Million Live is going crazy again. They're not afraid to, like, do some, like, really weird, wacky shit. And they're not going to, like, play it super safe just because they're in a new continuity. Like, they're still, like, going for, like, the really crazy stuff. Like, eventually we're going to have an event where Takagi purchases another, like, theater in space again.
Granted, yeah, there were other times where Million Live got crazy. I would say stuff like, they're more or less settled now, so they can do crazy stuff again. So during the Jungle Party event and stuff like that, they had an alternate door to a jungle. But yeah, I can definitely agree that Million Live fans are very, very satisfied with how Theater Days is just like slowly returning back to the Grimace era. My general comment is I'm just happy that all this stuff happens because I expected Idolmaster to take a bigger hit throughout this entire pandemic. Like, I expected stuff like, because when CG said things would get cut voice content, Shiny Colors said that, because like I know Shiny has their own expectations for each other because now we're seeing the effects because Nocchill doesn't have their lines right now. And
yeah, like just today actually, they after maintenance they released a new feature in Shiny where you can actually have like two idols have a conversation with each other, like regardless of unit, you can actually have two idols have conversations with each other. And apparently Fuyuko is missing voiced lines.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she has a conversation with May that doesn't have a voice line for her, but I believe May's side of the conversation does. So, if somebody finds that, I want to see this, like, somebody to redraw that sequence of May just casually talking with Fuyuko, and Fuyuko just has this, like, dead silent smile on, resulting in May's panic.
Oh, Lord, I know what I want to draw now. I know what I'm going to draw now.
We're going to have Fuyuko, half-mute Fuyuko, where she can say certain things, but she can't say certain other things. And then... yeah, I expected a lot of hits. Like, I expected stuff like servers to crash. I expected, I just generally expected a lot worse. But I don't know. Bamco has proven me wrong.
You expected cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it's probably not just Bamco because other games seem to be doing fine. I just generally throughout this period, to which I hope we can kind of now say that things are sort of going to get better. And, things are probably going to be at least slowly implemented in. I expected a lot worse, and it's not like I wanted things to get worse and things to just blow up in flames, but, realistic pessimism. And, I guess it's just not, thankfully, I'm happy. It's not that I'm disappointed, I'm really happy that things managed to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, for something as big as the CG elections to go through without a hitch, right?
Yeah, a lot of like IMAP stuff or even just like games in general are taking this really well and essentially just like going about as if nothing really happened, because going a little off topic, just recently Street Fighter V revealed that they're having a final, like another season of characters, and it's like really like no one's expecting that, especially during a pandemic. So it was really nice to see that like a lot of games and companies, even IMAS, are just like taking this really well and have like, very easy second measures where they can easily just like, have everything online and essentially just go on as normal, albeit a little toned down, but like go about as normal as they can.
Yeah,
because like just fairly recently, like Tokyo Game Show, like they canceled the event, but they immediately said, "Hey, we're gonna do it all online."
Yeah, it's not perfect, but I expected a lot worse. I would have expected, hey, I wouldn't have been surprised if like TD and Starlight Stage said, "We're sorry, have 3 times money and 3 times XP for, I don't know, 5 days. We're trying to work something out." And then they get no events or something like that. I expected things like that. I expected like 0 content for like 4 days or something. But like, Shiny's doing well, CG's doing well, Sidem's doing well, 765's doing well. I expected worse, generally. I really expected worse. Anything else for now before we chime out? It's 12 in the freaking midnight for me right now.
I don't have anything else to really say.
Cho, how about you? No, I think we've got pretty much everything taken care of today.
I'm pretty damn sure there was one little morsel we probably missed, and people in the comment section can probably call us out on that or just add something else to that. But
chat, please help us out.
Yeah, we're only 3 producers, 3 against the world.
We're only 3 knuckleheads.
A small unit.
We're 3 knuckleheads, and we don't know anything.
So unless we get like a gigantic, upcoming month, June and July are 2 very important months to Idolmaster because 1, that's when, if everything was fine, gigantic announcements would come out because you got anniv of the franchise itself, and then birthdays of certain specific characters. So if everything was fine, I would have super hyped June and July. But since everything is the current state it is right now, I'm just gonna say look forward to something. Anything really, because we know the 15th anniversary celebrations are delayed and postponed, which I'm pretty much just gonna, Sakagami's just gonna say, let's just do it next year. But I'm pretty
16th anniv is gonna be 15th anniv.
You mean 15.5? No, just kidding.
15.5! Jesus Christ, I can't believe we just suddenly became Toho.
Yeah, we're gonna make a Toho game. No, we're just kidding. But yeah, look forward to something, because June and July are IMAS months where it's unacceptable if nothing happens, right? So look forward to that. We'll hopefully manage to put out a podcast on the dot.
We have 2 anniversaries that are going to be happening about like 3 anniversaries are going to be happening in the next few months. I think it's safe to say that we're going to be having a lot of content.
We'll be busy. We'll be busy. And again, we apologize if this came after 2 months because, we're people too. So
shit happens. That's all I'm gonna say. Shit happens.
We're people too.
But is it cool if I like plug a little bit of my stuff?
Sure, go ahead. Where else are we gonna do that?
Yeah. So, just if you guys have been bored, in my channel, youtube.com/metalp, I've been streaming all the Kingdom Hearts games. So if you're into Kingdom Hearts and you want to just watch something, there's no commentary, unfortunately. But if you just want to see like raw gameplay of like all the Kingdom Hearts games from the first game all the way to Kingdom Hearts 3. Then, you can check out my channel. I have like all the stream archives, and I spent 14 hours trying to beat Lingering Will, but I got him down.
Did
it.
In general, if any of the viewers want to have a place to catch out, have some fun, talk to other producers, we got like 5 Idolmaster Discords you can try and join. This being one of them, we can probably refer you to one that you might find worth your time. Hang out, play a couple of games, stream a couple of shows, and just generally have fun with all the producers. But for now, anything else?
I guess if we're doing plugs, of course, check out the Shiny Colors database.
For sure.
I guess to date this video, depending on when it gets uploaded, our most recent addition as of last night was the review for the new Madoka banner.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of her.
So if you want to read up on the new Madoka and kind of like my collective thoughts on it based off of what people have been thinking here in the Discord, and then my own take on it, plus some of the other cards featured in it, like the new jury, the event May, and then some rerun cards. Not to mention that we've been reviewing everything since like October. So there are a lot of cards to look at, some other tidbits here and there. So if you want to learn more about Shiny in general, definitely check out our channel if you got the chance.
Well, I can't leave without a plug after these guys did. So, I gotta get my own turn too. So,
you gotta plug your mixtape.
My
Chill.
No, I'm not gonna chill nothing. I'm just gonna tell people that we're back to making regular specialty videos for Idolmaster subs. The channel where you've probably seen the fashion video for Shiny Colors, all that stuff. Yeah, we're back to making specialty videos where we'll discuss certain aspects of Idolmaster that don't get enough sunlight and don't get enough highlight. We have a CG one.
You guys just recently did get some new editors, right?
Yeah, we got some new editors. We got, some writers. We're actually managing a lot of more topics because we just decided, hey, you know what? What part of Idolmaster do you want to talk about? And I'll just go, hey, I got something to write. And then, like, someone else will say, I got something to write. And then we're pumping out videos a lot more. In fact, the reason why we did this podcast is because they volunteered to, edit this one. Because the reason why the last one took so long is because, editing is not easy. It's not.
No, it's not. As someone that edited the past 3, it's not.
Yeah, so we got a new
Jesus Christ, they take like a whole week. Like you think it looks easy because it's just adding like pictures, adding text, but then it's like you got to deal with like the software possibly crashing. You got to deal with like, okay, where in the audio do I put this so it matches up? Where in the blah. Thank you, new editors. Thank